DETV Sports Update is powered by DART, Delaware's transit service. Moving forward.
Good evening, Delaware and beyond, and welcome back into DETV for another sports update. Nick Alessandrini, as always, joined by Jason McCall and Matthew Maurer. A 2-week break for us, coming off back of the holiday. So, guys, how's it feel to be back? We got a lot to get into. A lot has happened since the last time we were here at this desk.
Unfortunately.
And we welcome back in Jason McCall. Jason, a busy weekend for you this past weekend. A Roots Picnic attendee. Talk a little bit about that experience. Did you have a favorite performance of the weekend?
Honestly, yeah. Usher was great. I mean, Ron Isley, the Isley brothers, they were amazing. But I would say the favorite performance would probably have to still be Lauryn Hill. One, she showed up. She performed, but she brought out the Fugees to everyone's surprise.
Oh, wow.
The Fugees performed. That was like the biggest shock of the whole weekend. The Fugees performed together on stage for the first time in like 20-something years, had to be. So.
Wow.
It's always, when you get a surprise like that at a concert, you get something you weren't expecting to see. Those are some.
And then, you know, for my college days, you know, the whole state property reunion happened as well. So they were almost all of them were on stage together at the same time. That's been a while. So all of them were together, like even the lesser known, you know, members. But I mean, it was just a great experience. The Roots Picnic, they took everybody's advice from last year as far as some of the things that weren't, you know, too, you know, whatever, and they made up for it. It was definitely a pleasant experience. They always do great with the lineup. So, I mean, if you're looking for a good time, first week of June every year, Roots Picnic. I mean, if you want to see some of your favorite artists, it's a good bang for your buck.
There you go.
Sure.
And Matt and I are happy that you made it here on a Monday evening following that weekend. So welcome back here into the studio. Matt, thrilled to have you back as well. Again, a lot of coaching stuff going on. The NBA draft, your specialty, coming up here in just a little bit. We're going to dive into that as we progress deeper into draft season. But how's everything going with you? Anything new on that front? Any guys jumping up your board or that have surprised you recently? I know you've been watching a lot of the combine stuff.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's a weak draft.
There you go. They come right out of the gates.
Not a great crop of guys, but you know, there's going to be some value there at some points. It's like any other year. You're going to have some steals. You're going to have some reaches. So, but yeah, overall, it's not a very strong class. But you know, I did do something a little fun. I got to see my son graduate high school. So
there we go. Congratulations.
So he'll start the journey, you know, going to college next. So. You know.
Big summer for you come in. Move-in day and everything else coming up. There you go. So action-packed. And it all starts with the NBA Finals, which we're going to get to here in a little bit. We're going to talk about the coaching hirings and firings. A lot going on in the NBA with different coaching shuffling, etc. How about Monty Williams to Detroit? We're going to get to that in a little while. Offer him more money than God to get him to come back out of coaching. He wanted to take a year off. They said, no way. Kyrie maybe reaching out to LeBron as well, trying to get him in Dallas. What will that big three potentially look like, maybe with Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving? Well, let's dive in and get started. And we are going to start with the NBA Finals and Game 2 last night in Denver. Nuggets up 1-0 on the Miami Heat in a series where a lot of people thought Miami would be overmatched against this Denver team after the run that they've been on here in the postseason. But Miami, after a tough loss in Game 1, they basically were down wire to wire. The Nuggets went on to win by, I believe, 11 there in that one. Heat came out with a different attitude there in Game 2 in Denver, where the Nuggets have been almost unbeatable in the playoffs. Gabe Vincent, 23 points. Jimmy Butler, pretty good game for him, 21 points, 4 rebounds, 9 assists. Both of those guys with just 1 turnover each, and the Heat beat the Nuggets 111-108 to even things up, guys. Here we go. We've got a finals 1-1. How are we feeling now at this stage as we head back to Miami, Jason, where, you know,
the city of Miami is undefeated. I keep telling you, it's undefeated.
So is this now where, I don't know if I had thought at any point the Heat would be able to control this series, but is this where the Heat can take control of the series back home now that they stole one in Denver?
No. I just gonna
against the city?
I think it's going to end up being 2-2 going back to Denver.
And let me ask you this then. If it is 2-2 going back to Denver, is that a win for Miami, a win for Denver? Win for Denver?
Miami gets game 4. Denver gets game 3. Then after that's going to be a toss-up, the rest of the series. But that's what I really think. I think that Miami, if you have the role players playing like they did on the road in Denver, in the altitude, they get back home in their own bed, seeing their wife, their kids, familiar pregame meals and rituals and routines, things of that nature, anything can happen. So they're going to get at least a game. They could possibly get 2, but I'm not confident enough to go out on that limb and say that. But I know they will get at least 1 game at home. I feel that, like you said, Miami's undefeated, what I always say, but also I feel like the Miami culture is actually undefeated as far as the Heat are concerned as a team. Like, you see it every game, you see it every season. I mean, it starts in the off season, but when they draft players, when they sign free agents, you got to come in, you got to work out, get to a certain body fat percentage, and all. So it's ingrained in them. And then the others always play better at home. So they have to get at least 1 more game. And I'm shocked that the others didn't play great in Denver last night. That was a shocker for me. So you can't have Joker putting up 28 shots. That's not his game. Although Spoelstra got mad at the press conference when they were asked, do you make him a passer or a scorer? Got a little offended by the question. But it's still a relevant question to ask.
Absolutely. And I think they did that last night. They turned him more, or tried to play him more one-on-one, make him turn into a scorer. Miami went up double digits early. That's when Jokic kind of flipped that scoring switch, kind of sensed maybe that they were getting a little hot. He started to turn into that scorer. And you look at the stats there, Matt, he had 41 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists, 5 turnovers, but a minus 11. A 41-point game with 11 rebounds, still minus 11 in the box score, 4 assists. That's unlike the 2-time MVP. What did you think after Game 2 last night?
I mean, I thought it was the game that the Heat needed. I mean, I don't like to point people out, but listen, Michael Porter, he's got to do better. I mean, if they're going to go any further, he's got to start getting in the game more. He's always been kind of a guy that has questionable decision making. Isn't what you'd call the brightest guy in the locker room.
Exactly right.
But he's got to play better. He has to. I mean, Jamal Murray and Jokic are doing so much of the heavy lifting. Somebody has to step up. And I also think that's the reverse for Miami. I think the same thing. When they get another 20-point scorer, they're very hard to beat. I mean, Jimmy will get his 20. Bam, who's done really well this series so far, he'll get his 20. If they get another guy to come in and get 20, which they did last game they played, that's huge for them. And then look, they have a plethora of the shooters. You have Max Strauss, you have Gabe Vincent, Duncan Robinson, and they still might get Tyler Hero back soon. Yeah. That's going to be huge for them, and that's going to be trouble for Portland. I mean, I'm sorry, for Denver. So, if I'm Denver, look, I do agree with Jason. I think they'll go back. I think they'll get themselves back together. I think they'll get another game there, but I still think this is the kind of slugfest that Miami likes, and they didn't flinch at all after the first game. I mean, this is what they wanted. They wanted a slugfest. And
I agree with you. Michael Porter Jr., to me, we're going to get into X factors here in a little bit, but he's got to be the X factor for me, for Denver going forward, as Matt alluded to. I mean, when you're shooting 2 of 8, he's a guy that can give you 20 points, knock down 5 threes on a given night. But yesterday, the issue with me was his work on defense, just nowhere to be found. As you said, talk about, Airhead just getting lost defensively off of switches, leaving Strus open for threes. Mm-hmm. There was a Kevin Love 3 where as he was shooting, Porter was already running down the other end of the floor, and he got an earful from Coach Malone after that play. So again, MPJ for me, as Matt alluded to, is going to be the X factor, both offensively, going to have to knock down some threes, but also defensively. That's what I'm going to be looking forward to as we get into Game 3.
And you mentioned someone I was going to mention. There was a Kevin Love sighting in the game, too.
In the starting lineup.
I felt as though he should have been in Game 1 as well. So I think with Kevin Love, you kind of get an older Joker when you're playing against Kevin Love. You get the guy who's can shoot the 3, who's the best outlet passer since Wes Unseld. So, and he's a very cerebral player. He always plays smart, always in the right spot, in the right time. You need a timely stop, he can get it. He did in the finals with Steph Curry. So he can get you those timely stops so you can still shoot. So his shooting never went away. He's not Minnesota Kevin Love. He's not 25
numbers. You want to go back and look at some of those.
He's not 20
numbers, by the way. But
he's not 28 and 15 anymore, but he can still give you a double-double of some sort. So I thought playing Kevin Love was huge for the Heat last night. And How the Heat won and then leading scorer with Gabe Vincent, that's a telltale sign of that game. Gabe Vincent should not be your leading scorer in any game, but you still won. So the Heat, as Matt alluded to, they did what they did do. They stole a game in Denver. What happened after that? Don't know right now, but Jimmy really didn't have – he scored 20 points, but it wasn't really a Jimmy game. In the fourth quarter, he willed them to the win, but it really wasn't a typical Jimmy game.
I mean,
it
7-19
it didn't have his imprint to me until the fourth quarter. I think Bam is starting to become more of that guy in this series, and I think even for the success in this series and future success of the Miami Heat, Bam has to go into their role. I look at it as when you liken their relationship and their scoring prowess to an AD and LeBron. LeBron's still waiting for AD to just be AD all the time, and I think Jimmy's waiting for Bam to step into that next level to be that guy, so Jimmy can still be him, but be a secondary star. Because Jimmy, truthfully, has always been a secondary star. He's never been your primary star. He's getting primary star money and primary star coverage, but his skill set doesn't scream primary star. He just wills himself to be that guy. So the Heat played a great game. There's nothing you can say about it. It's game 2. We can come back here next week and say, what the hell happened? Denver was Denver, and they took them out, but it's game 2. I read nothing into it right now. Game plan, coaches make adjustments. We're acting like Eric Spoelstra is not one of the greatest coaches in NBA history. Not just current time, but NBA history. I put Spo in the category with, me personally, I put Spo in the category with the Pops and the Phil Jacksons to me. I think he's on that level. I think he's finally getting the proper shine and recognition where the casual fan actually sees that now. He's been with the Heat, 18 years coaching or something like that, somewhere around there.
A video coordinator.
Video coordinator first. So he's been there pretty much more than half of the Pat Riley regime. So he knows the system, he knows the culture, and he can coach to that. And with his upbringing coming from the video coordinator, he's an X's and O guy first. He had to learn how to manage egos in his first few years as a head coach. Now he's merged the two successfully.
Talk about that, yeah. I mean, his first year as a head coach, maybe the biggest or hardest job for a first-year coach, maybe in NBA history, with that group of guys, coming together and having to deal with that. And he obviously did a pretty good job back with the Miami Heat in those days, and doing a pretty good job now with this Miami Heat team as well. You mentioned Bam. For game 1, I mean, we talked about it, and you just mentioned it, Jason, being more aggressive in this series. Coming into the series with Denver this season, or in the matchups in the last 2 years, Joker and Bam, 10-2 Denver against Miami in those games when Joker and Bam have gone at it. Bam, 24 points on 25 shots in game 1. He was aggressive. The efficiency wasn't there. I think this was a great balance for him. 8 of 14, 21 points. You see him taking that mid-range jump shot now, being more aggressive, knocking that down. It kind of opens up that offense. 9 rebounds, 4 assists, and the 2 blocks. He's going to have to keep that up, Matt. I think they're in good shape. But let's get to the Tyler Hero question now.
Yeah.
He's been doing contact 5-on-5. Now, maybe at any moment, depending. They played 7 great weeks of playoff basketball without him. They even up the series here in the finals. How do you feel about the pros and cons of bringing Tyler Hero back in this scenario in the finals? It's tough to bring somebody back in the playoffs, but now you're in the finals. How do you feel about the Tyler Hero situation in Miami?
I'm bringing him back when I see some warning signs. So, like, for example, I would bring him back right now? No. You got too much good minutes going on with the guys. You don't want to upset anybody's production right now. I mean, they're getting production like Caleb Martin, Vincent, Strauss.
Robinson's
yes.
in the mix.
So even Duncan Robinson. So you have to at some point take that into factor right now. I mean, they've been playing lights out. Do you really want to upset the apple cart right now? I don't know. I might wait a little bit, and if to Jason's point, if they go down to game 3 and it looks really bad, and they really go down there and they really whop them, then yeah, of course, then we're going to bring Hero out because we want to give them something else to think about in Denver. But I don't know if Miami goes down there and they play and they win. I would hold off again. I would hold off basically until I get the next loss. When the next loss comes in, okay, let's bring them out. Let's give them something to think about when we got other guys out there.
Not so fast, my friend.
Yeah,
Not so fast, my friend. I am going to disagree with that. I think you do bring him back, but I think he comes off the bench.
At game 3, you're bringing him
Game
back?
3. If he's go game 3, he goes game 3. I think you bring him off the bench. I think that Miami's second unit could use that right now because their second unit are starters now. So I think the second unit doesn't have that.
And that was the difference last night,
yeah.
was the second unit. That Denver second unit absolutely smashed that Miami second. The Jokic and Butler resting minutes there. That's when Denver took that big, almost 15 to 20 point lead with those two guys on the bench.
I think Hero has to be on the second unit. I don't think he should start at all in the series. He should play. I think he should come off the bench because you're going to need somebody that's a primary scorer that can get their own shot, create off the dribble in the second unit, because Kyle Lowry's not it. We're watching him. So they need. So that's a player that if I'm taking minutes from somebody, that's who I'm taking him from, honestly.
And for me, again, I'm with Matt. I'm more of a feel and we'll see how it goes type of thing. I mean, you have to worry about the fatigue too. We talked about the contact drills now in the 5-on-5, so he's kind of getting into the mix now. But it's a different animal when you're throwing it against a team like Denver that can get out and run with Jokic, and thank goodness maybe bring him back in Miami. I don't know if you want to bring him back in Denver for his first game with that elevation. So we'll see how it goes there. But I think they might have to bring him back at some point, depending how this goes back in Miami. I'm sure guys will be back here next week talking about who we're going to pick to win the finals. We're going to do it again here right now. Where are you leaning after 2 games? I'm going to lean Denver here. I came in saying Denver in 5, and I sent the text message to say, hope that's not disrespectful to Jimmy Butler, because he might take it that way, and he's already stolen a game that I didn't think they were going to get. So I'm going to stick with Denver. I'm going to go back to maybe 6 or 7 games, whatever. I'm not going to pick that yet, but I'm going to stick with the Nuggets here as we're tied.
This is a difficult question, only because
Right, it is.
Only because of what he did last night, but also what he did. Also, what he did in Game 1. They actually
hung around.
They hung around in Game 1, so it's not like they're just.
Yeah, I agree.
Like they're not going to go lying down. We know that already.
And it's every series, right? We
every
said it
series.
against Milwaukee. We said it,
It's
against the Knicks, and then against Boston, and it's always, they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out against the Heat. Boston will figure it out. Milwaukee will figure it out. Oh, Denver will figure it out. They'll win. Who knows at this point? I'm not necessarily sure.
I'll go out there on a limb. So we want to shake some things up here on set.
Oh, here we go.
Heat in 6.
What? Okay.
Matt, your rebuttal. Heat in 6.
Heat in 6.
Where are you leaning now?
I have Denver in 6. I just think Denver. I think if Jamal Murray can get hot again, I think it's going to be incredibly hard for Miami. But I do want to say this. We don't have any points in this to talk about this, but I do want to talk about the narratives that exist with this series that I don't like. So, like, one of the narratives that I get irritated about is this idea that Jokic isn't being respected, which is complete nonsense. I mean, the guy's got 2 straight MVPs. He was runner-up this time for MVP, and I told everybody he wasn't going to get the 3rd one. You didn't give it to Jordan. You didn't get it to LeBron. This guy ain't getting it either. And honestly, I don't think there will ever be another 3-time MVP guy, I got to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, who doesn't think that Jokic isn't good? I haven't met anybody who doesn't think he's elite. I haven't met anybody.
Nobody here.
I can't say
but
it.
you turn on ESPN, they're like, well, yeah, he'll get his, and then I'm going to call your name. He's, I want people to respect his talent. It's great. Dude, who's saying this guy can't play?
Nobody's saying that.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is amazing. Yeah.
It's asinine to think that people think that he can't play. I mean, coming from, when they drafted him, and then the rise is amazing, of course. I mean, this is a point in time where they were playing Nurkic over the Joker in Denver early on. They had to trade Nurkic to get Joker playing time.
Was a first-round pick.
First-round pick.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's been there. Although, where's my camera? Although, he shouldn't be wearing number 15. That should be in the Raptors already for somebody named Carmelo Anthony, but it's not starting up day.
Ooh. And now there's some stuff going around about that. People want him to retire both jerseys, a Jokic 15 and an Anthony 15. Is that possible? Can you do that?
I think they should.
I think you might be able to do that. What do you think?
I think
man?
I've seen teams where
numbers for the same player. I mean, 2 different players, same number jersey retired.
No, I ain't a Melo guy, man.
There you go.
Melo get his 15 in New York, or what is it?
Number 7.
7 in New York.
He get 3 to the Dome in New York.
They got a playoff series.
But you got to remember, I'm gonna give y'all a little nugget, pun intended. Melo is still a part of this current team here. And I'll tell you why.
Go ahead.
The pick they got from New York in that trade is Jamal Murray.
There you go.
He's still involved somehow, some way.
Right?
Imagine Melo is still involved. But no, the pick that they got,
a good pool.
they ended up drafting Jamal Murray with that pick they got from New York.
And now they could be on the verge
of winning
a
a
championship.
title.
We'll find out. Me and Matt leaning Denver in 6. Don't know how good I feel about it after watching last night.
Yeah.
Jason going out on a limb and taking Miami in 6. And I say going out on a limb, we could be wrong completely, and we could
I'll
be the
be
ones
okay with
going out
that.
on a limb, right? We
I
don't
want
know.
Miami to win. I'm being frank here. I want Miami to win.
And also, again, quickly before we move on, you mentioned the Jokic stuff and some of the stuff that's gotten on your nerves there.
Yeah.
And one of the other narratives that we've talked about a little bit on the show coming in is that he's had no help either, right?
Yeah,
That was one of
right.
the things coming in.
No help.
And last night, didn't get it from Michael Porter Jr., but when you got a guy like Jamal Murray playing the way, he has been playing, and those
20
role
and 10.
players, he's got, championship role players in Caldwell Pope. And Michael Porter Jr. has that talent level.
Bruce
it's not
Brown.
like
Bruce
Brown's been fantastic.
Fantastic
off the bench.
reserve.
I mean,
I think
the
the issue last
energy.
night, Jeff Green didn't do anything last night. I think
Uncle Jeff.
Uncle
Let's
Jeff,
talk about
that was a
Uncle
big
Jeff
factor
for a
to me
second.
last night.
Uncle Jeff did not.
Uncle Jeff was 1 of 1 from the floor. He got fouled, went to the line, knocked down some free throws. I forget how many points he finished with, but he shot 1. I think he was 1 of 1 from the floor. Yes, 1 of 1 from the floor, hit 6 for 6 from the free throw line. So he had 9 points, but got up 1 shot. I think he hit 1 3. He was 1 for 1 from the 3 in the corner. Weird stat line from Uncle
Now,
Jeff.
I know he doesn't.
15 minutes, too.
Yeah, I know that.
Brown gave him good minutes.
I know
last
Jeff
night.
Green doesn't get a lot of shots up, but 1 is not going to do it.
No, I agree.
He's better than that.
And that's what
He's way better than that. And he's at the point in his career where you don't have to run plays for him, but he still has to be involved. And I think that was I'll tell you this. I believe in this series, the way it's looking right now, with the guards that he can throw out at them, I think Denver is missing Malik Beasley.
Definitely. I got another one they're missing. And no one thought about it much when they did it.
Bones?
Yes.
Ball
Definitely
handler.
need Bones.
Another ball handler.
Another ball handler.
And you can put Murray out in space.
Great three-point shooter.
Yeah.
And the guy that's getting those Bones minutes, Brown, who played decent last night, a completely different player, completely different player. So I agree with you there, Bones. He would be a finals machine. Talk about highlight reel.
Can you imagine him
in the finals?
Can you imagine him looking at Gabe Strus? I mean, Gabe Vincent.
Take them all the undraftees.
Gabe Vincent and Max Strus across from him. He's like, oh, I'm taking them right now.
And they tried to adjust it getting Reggie Jackson, but he just doesn't do the same.
Oh, no, yeah.
And he was a DMP, so how valuable is he?
And that's the thing, right? And the whole Bones Highland talk was, he doesn't. We need to go get a point guard that's going to lock up on the other end.
Right.
And they never went out and did that.
They didn't get
They wanted a
anybody.
backup point guard. Yeah.
None of their point guards guard anybody.
No.
I'm sorry. When have you had a Denver Nuggets team with a point guard that can guard somebody not named Chauncey Billups? Don't worry, I'll wait.
Well,
think about it.
We're going to keep moving on here,
Right.
but a heck of a
You might
discussion.
go to Fat Lever, man.
That's about it.
You had to go way back.
That's how long it's been.
Yeah.
That's how long it's been.
Yeah.
Fat leave. That's how long it's been.
That's the 80s for you
80s,
young
you know?
folks out there.
With the rainbow jersey.
Don't ask me how I know that. Don't ask me.
You were there.
Yeah, unfortunately.
1-1 though in the series, guys, in the finals, so should be a good one. We'll be back here next Monday. We'll pick up on that one, but let's keep it moving in the NBA coaching carousel here. A lot of moves in the last week in the NBA, and obviously since the last time we were all here on the desk together, Doc Rivers out in Philadelphia.
About time.
And again, just before we move on to the other ones, let's just touch on Doc real quick. 24 consecutive seasons coaching in the NBA, second only to Greg Popovich in consecutive seasons coached. That now in jeopardy of coming to an end here. Was a finalist for the Phoenix Suns job. Obviously did not get that one. We'll talk about that here in a second. But it looks as if Doc Rivers is going to have his first year off in quite a while. Will we see Doc Rivers again, guys?
I don't think so. I'll play this. I think it's up to him. I think people still want him to coach, but does he want to coach? Because people
it seemed
forget.
like he wanted that Suns job.
But people forget, Doc had a hell of a career as a broadcaster before we get
he
into
did,
coaching.
that's right.
So it's like, what Doc can do whatever he wants to do. Do I give him all the credit that everybody else does? I don't. I mean,
That's coming from a Celtics fan.
I mean, he's only still coaching because we got that one ring in 08. I'll just put it out there. He's only still coaching because of that ring. That ring in 08 is carrying him through the last 15 years of his coaching career because he did nothing in Orlando. They were first round exit every year in Orlando.
You can make the argument nothing with the Clippers.
Nothing with the Clippers.
That team was loaded up.
I got an unpopular opinion about Doc, but here's the thing. I think he'll get another job, but the reason why Phoenix didn't want him, just my opinion, I think he's a great table setter. I just don't think he's a guy that you want to serve dinner.
Yeah.
He's not Phil Jackson. You know, Doug Collins was a great coach, but until Phil Jackson came, they couldn't get anywhere. That's right. So I think he's great at setting the table. I think he can make things look good for you, give you some stability. But after that, you got to get a guy to come in there and really put the course together and serve. And I think Nick Nurse is a better at that than Doc is.
Way better. A great hire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that takes us right into it. Sixers get our guy. I mean, that's the guy a lot of us have been talking about was Monty Williams and Nick Nurse. Those were the two guys I think all three of us kind of would be happy with in Philadelphia. And word at the time was Monty was going to take a year off. We'll get to him in a bit here. He did not want to coach this next year.
Yep.
But Nick Nurse had his choice of locations. They were going to offer him, I believe, the job in Milwaukee or Phoenix. He could have taken either one. Yep. He decides to go back and pair up with Daryl Morey here in Philly. But a lot of question marks for the Sixers, obviously, guys, going into next season. Will James Harden be back? Do they want him? Nope. Do they need him back?
Nope.
And then the thing is, if Nick Nurse is going to take this job, obviously the big reason would be for the MVP, Joel Embiid. But obviously there's going to be maybe something else mixed in there. What do you think Daryl Morey and Nick Nurse have been cooking up maybe behind the scenes? Daryl Morey always has a second move.
VanVleet and Siakam.
And I think there's something like that on the horizon. But obviously there would be a lot of difficulties they would have to work out to get there. But what do you think about, obviously, Nick Nurse hiring Jason? And as you said, what do you think is coming next?
It's a great hire. I mean, the basketball mind is brilliant. I mean, I think similar to a Coach Spoelstra, he gets the best out of what he has on the court. And when you can maximize people's skill sets, and then you can actually coach great players at the same time as well, I think we're onto something with the hire with Nick Nurse. And I believe that this was probably the right hire at the right time for Embiid's career. He needs to take that next step, that leap. The MVP is great, but we need you to be in great condition all season long. Get back in the post, because when you're in the post, you're unstoppable. Those threes have to go away.
And Nick Nurse will take care of that.
He will take care of that.
He's going to take care of that. And maybe what he did with Marc Gasol during that championship run. I mean, he was great for them during that year. I mean, what he can do with Embiid might be next level. We'll have to wait and see.
And I think the 1-2 punch is just to jump ahead. I think it's Maxey and Embiid, and I don't think Harden needs to return to this team.
And again, Harden looking for a 4-year contract, Matt. Will he get that with the Sixers? Will he get that anywhere? A lot of that Houston talk.
Yeah, he'll get it on 2K.
It's on your my team.
PS5, on my team.
And that's the thing. A lot of people don't know whether or not to believe if the is that a smokescreen for the Houston stuff, right? Like, are they trying to get a contract out of the Sixers with all this Houston talk that started back on Christmas last December, about how the Rockets manage him, want him back. He's got his house there. His family's still there. Mm-hmm. Do you see him coming back? And obviously you don't think he should be back with the Sixers.
No, I don't think he should be back with the Sixers. I don't think he fits Houston. Houston at this point, they got a bunch of young guys who all want to be the guy, and the last thing they want to do is have a guy come in talking about, look at my numbers back in 2015, 2016. They don't care.
I think Harden would be better. I like Harden in Detroit before I put him in Houston. With Monty.
See, I think that messes a little bit with Cade and Ivy's growth a little bit. For me, I think Harden's got to go to a championship team that has a lot of pieces around him, where he doesn't have to.
Lakers.
See, that's what something like that. I feel like would be best case scenario for him.
Yeah, I just don't like Harden's
game,
and I think the way he thinks of himself, I think he thinks he's that guy still. And look, he's a competitor. I'm sure he does.
First ballot Hall of Famer, but he's not that anymore.
Yeah.
He's not the MVP Harden anymore.
I could see him in Detroit if he wants to accept that role, for sure. That'd be a good.
That's what I'm saying. For me, I think that's a role that he could play and see that, and to be back with Monty would be helpful for him.
And Monty has experience because he had Chris Paul, so maybe he can know how to guide that.
Chris Paul, another topic of discussion. We'll see what the Suns decide to do with him next year. Only on the tab, I think, for 15 out of his guaranteed $30 million, depending on what happens with Chris Paul next year. I think he might be back in Phoenix. That's not on
I don't.
They don't want him back.
I know they don't. I just think they don't have. I don't know what kind of moves they'll be able to do, but I do think Phoenix, if they let Chris Paul go, where do they?
Phoenix should have let the Pacers keep that offer sheet to eight and less.
And that's another topic of discussion. That was, the whole thing was Monty and Ayton, they didn't get along. Now Monty's out. Do you still, now maybe Ayton can relax? I don't think they're going to be.
I don't think they're going to move Ayton.
They're not. He's too young. They're not going to move him.
I don't know if they move him, but I don't think it's out of the question. I don't think it's out of the question.
I wouldn't move him, though. I mean, think about it. The center position, look, just in case people don't know, the center position is bad. It's real bad. and Ayton is a top 10 guy. As much as we think he's
No,
mid,
I
you're
know. To me,
right.
no,
He's a top 10 guy.
I love his game.
Did not show up in the playoffs.
but he is mid. He is mid when it comes to playoff
I love his
time.
game.
And that's
but-
when you need him the most. He's like,
Yeah.
is he going to be a Gobert playoff player?
No,
Maybe.
my thing is this: it's not even like a lot of stuff everybody's talking about with Ayton. I don't think everybody playing for the hometown team succeeds, and he's playing for his hometown team. I think that pressure is there, and he can't shake it. I think he goes to another city. You're getting Arizona Ayton again. Like I think he needs to go somewhere else. Like he doesn't need to be at home anymore. That's my thing. He can't play. I don't think he should be at home anymore.
Yeah.
Like he needs to grow up.
I just know when you say that he's a top 10 guy, people look at you like.
But
It's
he
like he
actually
It's like-
is.
Yeah, he actually is. It's weird.
Who'd you rather have, Ayton or Miles Turner?
Ayton.
By far.
I
Ain't
go
no-
Ayton, too.
Miles Turner is.
Miles Turner can't get 5 rebounds. He can give you 2 blocks. He just can't give you 5 rebounds.
He's Brook Lopez. No, he's
Brooke Lopez
He's Brook
was
Lopez.
phenomenal last year.
No, he's Brook Lopez. He's on the Nets. Didn't get anything past 7 rebounds a game.
He could score when he was at Brooklyn.
But
I'll tell
you're-
you
but
that.
you're-
I don't think Miles Turner has that.
But when you're 7 feet, you should get 8 rebounds by default.
Yeah, agreed.
Like the ball just comes to your hand, you stretch up your hand.
I might want Mitchell Robinson before Miles Turner.
I don't hate that.
I'll go with that. I'll go with that. I'll go with that for sure. Oh yeah, I'll go with that.
Yeah, I like.
Just make sure he works on those free throws, man.
He definitely
Oof.
getting that gym, Mitch.
Getting that Jim Mitch for the Knicks.
All lethal shooter.
Brunson,
Everybody.
Brunson and
fact.
Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart, a lot of Twitter stuff going on there.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. They're trying to get Bridges maybe across the way over to Madison
not
Square
happening.
Garden.
Brooklyn-
They
if
both
the-
signed on, play for Team USA this summer.
If Brooklyn knows it's good for them, they will not let that happen.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sure they
that's
do
a
not
fact.
want that to happen.
No, it's not even. It's more of a. If you want to still keep your franchise in New York, you don't do that.
They got 3 untouchables there.
Yeah.
Cam Thomas, Claxton, and Bridges. Everybody else, whatever happens, happens.
I mean, for all that they've been through with Kyrie and Durant, to still get some of those other guys, I mean, they have a decent foundation there now after the trade. I mean,
But
it's
the
not,
Nets, the Nets karma is still going back to letting Dr. J go in '76. Like people forget, like they still have that stench on them. They tried to do something with Jason Kidd in those early 2000s teams, but
Right.
this has been a thing. Like this has been a thing for almost 50 years.
Did you hear? It was, I think it was Game 1. Mike Breen compared Jokic's rebound and Moses Malone, and Jeff Van Gundy ripped him right on the brow, made him take it back on live TV.
As he should have.
It was
he
pretty
should.
funny. I know.
As
He's
he
like,
should.
take it back, Mike. Take it back.
As he should have. That was a reach if I haven't seen one.
Yeah, there's been a lot
So
of reaches with
funny.
Jokic lately. It's kind of.
We'll stick with the.
Crazy.
Ask you guys now. Here we talked about Nick Nurse. The Suns
Yep.
had their finalists. Doc Rivers, a part of that trio that was a finalist for the job. Instead, they decide to go with Frank Vogel. Last seen with the Lakers in that bubble championship run, fired, I believe, the year after the championship. We talk a little bit about Budenholzer. He's out in Milwaukee. Adrian Griffin now going to take over in Milwaukee with Giannis's approval there. So kind of a outside the box, if you will, maybe hire in Milwaukee. You couldn't get Nick Nurse or some of those other guys there. So what do you guys think? Who's your favorite hire?
None of them.
Let Nick Nurse go. We're not tired of the Sixers anymore. Who did you like? And then, excuse me, Monty Williams to Detroit, guys, on a, I have to look up the numbers and I'll do it after I send
It's
this
like
question
6
to you
years,
guys.
78
The
something million. Something.
largest
Something.
contract in NBA coaching history to Monty Williams. They said they just gave him basically a blank check. He kept telling him he didn't want to come back. They said, how much? Well, we'll give you this much. The more they kept raising it, he finally said okay. And I think it was the right move for them. Detroit wants to solidify that culture. I think he did great things with young Devin Booker team in Phoenix, taking them to the next level. Unable to finish it off, obviously, but great at the beginning. What do you think of that hire?
Here's the problem.
Don't like it?
No. Great hire. But Detroit has had quite a few good coaching hires technically in the last few years. They haven't panned out. They keep hiring old school coaches. You had Dwayne Casey was an old school coach. I'm not sold 100% on them having an old school coach. I think Monty can adapt to anything. I've seen it, but I think in Detroit it's the players. Because Dwayne Casey came off a coach of the year and went to Detroit and tried to instill the defensive mindset, and nothing happened.
And no Cade this year with that injury. Had to play almost the whole season without the number 1 pick.
But I love Monty. this was definitely a money grab for Monty.
Yeah.
And if anything else, it's a money grab.
And that's the thing. And is that a good thing? Obviously, you don't want to say, he didn't even want to coach. That was the feeling coming in, and you kind of made him almost with this offer. If you're the Pistons, you're a fan of the Pistons, is there any part in your brain going, oh, man, I don't know, maybe he's not fully invested in it?
I'll say this. I think he took the job, one, because of the money, but two, the Eastern Conference is an easier track.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this year was a little tougher.
But it's still overall in the West, it's easier track because you have more up-and-coming teams in the West than you do in the East right now. Mm-hmm. You have your standard, your core four in the East. Then after that, it's like, okay, who else is it from year to year? So I think that was the reason why, the main reason why outside of the money that he actually chose to take the job. I mean, I wish him the best. I mean, I'm a fan of quite a few players, Detroit, so hopefully it works out.
There you see the contract on your screen. 6 years, $78.5 million. Quite the deal for Monty Williams. Again, Matt, the now richest or largest contract in coaching history. Do you like that? I mean, not do you like the contract, but do you like the hiring?
I love the contract.
We all like the contract.
Just doesn't have my name on it. But yeah, look, I like the hire by Detroit. Look, they had to make a move. I mean, at this point, they're a franchise that people are still talking about when they won it in '89. I mean, at this point, and with Larry Brown and his title, they got to make some noise. So I think this is a noise maker. I think it shows potential free agents that they're very making a huge push to try to have a winning culture there. So I think it was done on two sides. One, that look, we're not the island of misfit NBA players. You can come here. We're committed to playing, and we'll pay for talent. I think it was important that they show that in this era of the NBA because it's not just about drafts. Mm-hmm. I mean, draft is a great process, but it's also about free agency, and you got to have players buy into your culture there. Unlike Houston, which right now it looks like a really wild AAU team down there. If you're a free agent, you're gonna, I like Monty. Yeah, all right. They're committed to winning there. I'd probably, if I had to choose between the two, probably pick them. But listen, the Suns, man. Frank Vogel ain't it, baby. It's not it, baby. Like I get. This is what baffles me about the Frank Vogel. When you drop a coach who's had a lot of success like Monty Williams, it's usually because you got some guy that's sitting around that's bigger, that's better, he comes innovative, he has a different way of handling things. This is like when the Eagles dropped the Chiefs guy, Andy Reid, and they went out and they got Chip Kelly. And it's like, dog, not all change is good, and sometimes you're making changes just to make changes. And that's what this feels like. You just made a change just to make a change. If you're KD and you're Booker, you're literally sitting there like, who is this guy? Like, I'm supposed to feel good about this? This guy, like, who's Frank Vogel? Like, I respect the Bucks more because they're like, look, Adrian Griffin, he's an former NBA player, undrafted, spent 12 years in the league, is respected by vets. He's been in the back office. As a scout, then he went into the bench as an assistant coach. You don't know what you got with him. If you're a player, you're saying, well, yeah, he may be a very good hire here. At least you can tell that the Bucks are like, look, let's try not to do the recycling center thing. It literally looks like the Suns went to like a recycling center and a junkyard and just said, you know what? Let's take this guy right here. Let's brush him off a little bit.
Frank Vogel got fired in Indiana. Let that sink in for a second, folks. He got fired after winning a championship in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
He got this job off of that said championship. I believe 100%. It's the only difference between him and Monty. It's the only difference. As far as, when you look at it that way, you're looking at their resume, only difference is the ring. But he still had. Is Phil Handy coming with him to Phoenix?
No way.
Then why are we hiring Frank Vogel? Because Phil Handy was that main guy running that staff.
Yep.
He still is now, if you're going to be honest about it, but it's not,
Darvin Ham's asking him questions. That's a fact.
Yeah, Phil Handy is that guy.
And I agree with you, but I think they did have that kind of thought process, Matt. I think they made the decision. Matt Ishbia, obviously a new owner now, coming in Phoenix, and I think they had that idea with, hey, maybe we'll get Nick Nurse. I think maybe that was. I thought they were going. They obviously had to have the thought that they were going to get someone, a bigger name, or you said make a splash bigger than Monty Williams. I don't think you can make that move unless that was what they were thinking.
And the Suns owners got to stop listening to Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah.
Listen,
Isaiah Thomas.
This screams Isaiah Thomas higher. It screams Isaiah.
Bro,
This screams
Isaiah Thomas ain't it either. Look.
He's never been it.
He's an NBA
outside of a
legend.
player. Outside of a player.
No, he's an NBA legend. I give him his credit. He's a Hall of Fame guy. He should have been on the Dream Team.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He built Toronto. Gotta give him
He
credit for
didn't
that.
build nothing in Toronto. He drafted Damon Stoudemire.
He
and
built
then Marcus
Toronto.
Camby. That's it. That's
built
it.
Toronto.
Vince Carter built Toronto.
Well, touche.
Shout out Daytona Beach.
Yeah, but seriously, don't listen to Isaiah Thomas. Like, I don't know why people keep scratching his, like, this guy's like Jerry West. He's not Jerry West. Get him out of here, bro. Get him out.
Quick.
And you talk about real quick, the Adrian Griffin hire.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, got to touch on that.
That's a Darvin Ham-esque move.
Yeah, it is.
They lost Darvin Ham.
I like Darvin.
And now
I
we
like
got our
Darvin
own,
Ham did with the Lakers.
another one in-house. So
Right.
we got to make it right this time.
Yeah, right.
So I think that's going to be a good hire because he knows the whole roster already. He knows all the players personally. He's probably been in behind the scenes with them, working on different parts of their game for years.
And
there.
that was a different approach with the Suns, right? They had, maybe one of the best assistants that they thought was going to get that call up and be the new head coach. That didn't go well. He will stay on the staff this year in Phoenix. The name is, it's escaping me right now, and it's bad on my part. But he's going to stay with the staff in Phoenix, did not get the job. Vogel gets the job. So we'll see how that works with the players, how they feel about that. It's always interesting when you keep a guy that maybe you wanted as a head coach on, but as an assistant to a new head coach. So we'll see how that goes. We mentioned Doc, 24 consecutive seasons, be second behind Popovich. I believe he's at 27, and that will continue now that they have the number one pick. I think if they didn't get the number one pick, he might have thought about retirement. He had the Duncan pick back then when he came down and became the head coach there. Now he gets Victor Wembanyama. I think Greg Popovich having some good luck there in San Antonio. We talked about Doc being second. Trivia time, guys. Do you have third?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Do you have the third? Who's third on that list for consecutive seasons coaching the NBA? Trivia time. You guys have any idea? It goes Pop, Doc. Who's third?
Oh, man.
Spoelstra.
Nope. All time here.
All-time third. Ooh, I don't know.
Any guesses?
Is it somebody?
Western Conference.
George Karl?
Pat Riley?
Is it Steve Kerr? Oh, yeah, sorry,
There
Jerry
it
Sloan.
is.
Wow.
Dennis with
Jerry
the answer.
Sloan.
How did we miss that?
From the rafters, Dennis Richett with
How did we
Jerry
miss that?
Sloan. There you
No,
have
no,
it.
it show's over. I don't know how I missed that
All
one.
right,
Show's over.
There you
Sloan,
go.
RIP.
Yep. Jerry Sloan. Dennis behind the scenes.
The first Chicago Bulls superstar.
So let's talk about the Popovich thing. So were you agreeing with what I said, or do you disagree?
No, I'm agreeing with everything you said.
So you're saying it's just an unpopular, but
Well, it's just
opinion?
unpopular because they've been in the NBA lottery 3 times, and each time they walked away with the number one pick.
It's weird.
And a
So
censor-
I thought this year was a little.
So
I
the
don't
tinfoil
know.
hats are
I
out,
don't
bro. You know?
And a censor every time?
Yeah, the Reptilians and the
Hey,
Bilderberg group are a part of this. I'm
I
telling
had
you right
a
now.
feeling that he was going to be a Spur for a while now. I
We
would
all
just
did.
say
We all
that.
did.
Yeah.
We all
So
did.
I think
again-
that was why it also, no one was shocked. It was like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, we all figured it
We
out.
had a feeling, right?
I mean, with the last 2 years, I mean, the only 2 teams he could play for with the international flair would have been either San Antonio or Dallas.
Or Houston. Houston could. Because of the Yao Ming thing.
And then who just resigned now, I believe, is from the
Not with that, like you said, the way they did that tenure right now.
Well, yeah,
that
the
structure
NBA wouldn't
there.
want Houston to have that.
No, it ain't there.
Speaking of Houston, I mean, Jalen Green just quickly here went on a podcast the other day. Not sure if you heard talking about he didn't want James Harden to come to Houston. Talk about it would stunt his own growth. But you rarely see the players come out and say stuff like that.
He should say that.
Yeah.
I'm with him though. I agree. I wouldn't want
Look,
him there.
Jalen
either.
Green, I'm a huge fan of Jalen Green, so let me just put that disclaimer out there. No, he shouldn't want him because
Agreed.
he thinks he's James Harden.
That's-
Look, he ain't there yet.
But he does,
But
he
he
does.
thinks he's Harden, and he doesn't want to share that ball.
Yeah, he doesn't.
He can't share the ball now. So you know what I mean? Jalen,
That's
baby,
right.
you shooting that thing a little too much though. But yeah, I'm with you. But yeah.
Yeah,
It'll
he
come.
can't.
I think maybe when he's probably thinking, we don't have a shot. We're gonna be in the lottery next year. So let me throw up some, some shots here. Get my 30 shots a game in.
Yeah.
And he's doing that. Hopefully he makes another big jump next year.
I'm
a
not
Jalen
shocked
Green
though.
fan either.
Really not. I think if you're a young guy, and look, their team's fully loaded with young guys. You got Jabari
Absolutely.
Smith. You got Porter Jr. You got Sengun. Yeah,
I love Sengun.
I love Sengun too.
Oh, he's a great player.
I actually think they should play through him. I think they'd be better.
I agree.
I think, I'm with you. And Steven Silas now joining, I believe, Monty Williams' coaching staff today in Detroit.
Ooh.
So he's heading up to Detroit.
He's better development than actually a head coach, like by far.
I don't think I think he's a great coach. I think that situation in Houston was
But
so
also with
bad.
the passing of his dad during the season.
Sure, that's true. Yeah.
So I think that's a good little pairing up in Detroit. I think
it's
Detroit's
huge.
on the right track. I do. I think and I like some of those guys. Is there a more intriguing team right now than the Detroit Pistons in the Eastern Conference? You got Marvin Bagley,
Orlando Magic,
Jaden Ivey,
I'll argue that is
Jalen Duren, some of these other guys.
I like Detroit's roster better than Orlando's.
I do. Sure, I agree with you.
I like Orlando. I mean, just the Boncaro thing is just such a difference maker for me. I think he's to be.
They got to do something with Suggs though.
They gotta play bowl.
He hasn't been.
Man.
He
No,
hasn't
they got to
been
trade
great.
him. They got to trade him while he still has.
Doesn't
some
have that
value, trick
offensive
somebody.
part of his game.
It's like fantasy football time. You
gotta try to fleece somebody.
You gotta fleece somebody. Hey, bro, go get this shiny guy from Gonzaga, man. We top 5 pick. We want some.
I mean, they still got, like you said, some guys. R.J. Hampton, a member of this roster.
Yeah.
Jalen
R.J.
Duren,
Hampton was where?
Diallo, Kevon Hayes,
He's on
Isaiah
Orlando.
Stewart, James Wiseman, and Marvin Bagley, two number
Detroit,
2 picks.
yeah.
They got a lot of talent and guys that could have been, star potential in
Marvin
this team.
Bagley.
Marvin,
pisses
can
me
you
off.
let me please stop? I was going to say the same
Come
thing.
on, man.
And yeah, we got Tar Heel guys here too.
No,
Bagley, though.
but
I like Bagley
But
a lot in that draft.
I wanted Marvin Bagley to succeed. I did.
Yeah,
I did too.
I did. It wasn't even the Duke thing.
He
It was
has the
just,
traits.
You can have traits all day long, but you
You're
can't.
right, but
you
he's
can't.
Who's going to figure? And again, he kind of put a little bit of some things together last year in Detroit with some of that playing time. Who's going to put it together first, Bagley or Wiseman?
I don't think you keep both. First of all,
They got them both.
Wiseman.
I think it's still Wiseman. I don't think you can. I don't think you can keep both of them and succeed.
Yeah, I think Wiseman's too good.
Yeah.
I
I don't think you keep both of them. I don't think you. Yeah.
And Golden State could have used his size. That's another trade that they made. That
Yeah.
I don't.
Oh, again, at the time, and maybe it was the right draft pick with the construction of that roster, I thought it was going to be LaMelo Ball. There was word that, and again, I don't know how that would have went with Clay and Steph anyway. But there was exactly right, and the word was that they told him they were going to draft him, and then didn't draft him, took Wiseman instead there at number 2. So again, that's a story for another
Yeah, I
time.
don't believe that.
Let's get to our last topic of discussion today, guys. One that kind of caught me a little bit off guard. There was a lot of rumors here the last few months into the summer about Kyrie heading out to L.A., going to have to take a massive pay cut. They'd have to work some contract stuff around Hachimura, with Reeves, etc. But a lot of talk about Kyrie going to L.A. There's been no talk until today of LeBron going to Dallas, which is what was on the news waves today as Kyrie Irving reportedly reaching out to LeBron, kind of gauging that interest, and wants a reunion in Dallas with him and Luka Doncic. Guys, is this even a possibility? What would that big three look like anyway if it were?
When pigs fly, my man, when pigs fly.
Yeah.
This is not happening. Bronny just graduated high school.
USC, right? Trojan.
You got Bryce going into his like 11th grade year.
Yeah. He looks really good too.
I think it's better than LeBron.
good,
I love his
I'm
game
telling
right.
you, that size,
And
too.
LeBron has made himself a Californian. He's not going to
man, I
Texas.
hate that.
Yeah.
He can get the same money in California and get in Texas.
And that
Why
setup in
move?
Dallas is terrible.
It's
He doesn't know how to play without the ball, really. And Luka Doncic just
Cannot play without.
cannot play without the ball.
That is true, and that's going to be interesting with him and Kyrie. We saw how they played, after the trade, and
Yeah.
Jason, it wasn't very good. I think they were 5-14.
I have a question. No, not a question. I have a hot take, unpopular opinion.
Camera.
Oh, wow. Go ahead, Amy.
Luka Doncic, everyone, is overrated.
Oh man, you and my pops been talking too much, Jay. You guys agree
Luka
on a lot of
Doncic
stuff, man.
is overrated. You can say what you want.
I'm a Luka. No way.
The way y'all talk about Melo, talk about Luka the same way.
This is a mellow shot. He's got to guard his baby there. He got to guard his baby boy.
What do you think with that one, man?
No,
Luka overrated?
I don't think Luka's overrated, but I do think Luka probably gets a little bit too much attention from people. I think Luka look, I still think he's a phenomenal talent. I'd rather have him than not have him. But yeah, I could see if somebody says, look, the way they were lining him up to be better than LeBron James and all this other stuff. No, he's not that, but he's still a phenomenal talent.
And it was interesting. I thought I'm going to rewind here
Oh,
to the
my
draft.
goodness.
Overrated.
Taking the next step. But coming into that, right? I mean, he was supposed to be the number one pick, et cetera, in that draft. He ends up falling and then getting traded for, and then kind of being obviously the best player in that draft class. So kind of fell right before. I fell a little bit. I don't know if we're just talking about fell.
If y'all think I'm crazy, go in our comments on our live feed and put some stuff in there. What I just said. Let's get some interaction with our fans.
I have one issue with Luka, and to me, it's the crying and the complaining about calls.
I agree with that. Yes.
His transition defense is the worst in NBA history because he's always down the other side of the floor talking to the officials. That's the one thing I can't stand. But I think he's a great player.
Point guard doesn't make anybody around him better. That's not a point guard.
Right. But I don't think he's a point guard.
He's not. But they made him that way.
Yeah, I think he's a shooting guard.
No, he's a slow small forward, if we're going to be honest about it.
Well, that's true.
He's a very slow small
So we're going to see how things unfold in Dallas, what that roster looks like. Will Kyrie be back there next year? LeBron most likely not going to be a member of the Dallas Mavericks next
I think Kyrie will resign with Dallas.
He's in a tough spot.
I don't think he wants to go back to LA.
And there
I don't
are
think
a
he
lot
wants
of
to go back to
suitors
LeBron.
maybe for him. Right? I mean, the money is a weird thing too with the way with the Nike thing and everything he's got going on. I think the Mavericks can offer him the most money.
Yep.
So the rumors are that he's in a spot where he wants the contract, the length, because of all the uncertainty with his career the last few years.
I heard a rumor about him and New Balance possibly striking a deal.
He's, I'm sure, shopping himself around after the Nike
I heard
thing.
something about New Balance, but I know it's a rumors though. But that's the one name that came up.
What do you got? Who do you got for New Balance? You got Shohei Ohtani.
You got
Kawhi, and was I saying Maxi's the other basketball.
Yeah,
guy.
Maxi's on.
So those are the two guys, are Kawhi and Maxi for the basketball line. So we'll see how that goes.
If I were Kyrie, and if this brand was smart, they would go get him. Puma needs to go get Kyrie.
I think signed Scoot Henderson this week.
One thing about Puma, they have transformed their entire line in the last 10, 15 years.
I got a couple MB1s.
They're not just Clydes anymore, not just the court. They have a great collection of sneakers now, and with the creative direction of Jay-Z and then the whole Nipsey Hussle thing, and then all the collaborations they have with certain people.
Really taking it up a notch.
I really think if Kyrie wants a new deal, Puma should entertain him, and he should entertain Puma.
I think that's a good partnership. Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah. And they're comfortable.
They are comfortable.
Yeah,
we got a little sneaker talk. New Balance, Puma. We got it all going on.
We cover all bases around here.
Kyrie should sign with Skechers, man.
Well, I mean,
Tony Romo going to welcome into the Skechers family.
Well, Snoop Dogg has a Skechers shoe.
That's right. I saw that.
What is this, Snoop? What is going on, man?
All right, we're going to close it out today here with a couple different things. Dennis, if you have your question of the day, you can put that up now. And while you think about it, Matt, do you have your mid-performance of the week? Anybody that
MPJ.
stuck out to you? There you go.
MPJ, Michael Porter Jr. You got to do better, baby. Come on.
Michael Porter Jr. Let's check out the stats in the last game. And we talked about the defense. He's down the other end of the floor while the Heat still have possession on offense. He, again, did not have a good game.
He was terrible.
Michael Porter Jr., 2 of 8, 1 of 5 from 3, 5 points, 6 rebounds.
And he played 28 minutes.
A minus 15. That is the worst on the team in game 2 for Michael Porter Jr. So definitely a mid-performance.
I don't think Michael Porter Jr. understands his size still.
Well, no.
6'10".
I don't think he understands his size.
And
I don't
length.
think he understands that he's a human being. I just
that he's playing basketball.
He's playing basketball.
I mean,
I think he'll. And now the tough part because now he's going to go on the road.
I give him credit for that.
Can he rebound in game 1 in Miami?
He's going to be at the strip club, Miami. Hell no, he can't recover.
He's at that age where
he's at that age where he's going to go out. He's going to go out.
It's Miami for Michael Porter Jr.
He's going to go out.
Do not expect a good follow-up game there from
unless DeAndre Jordan isn't his behind.
DeAndre. I'm looking at the bench for the Nuggets the other day. Who else did I see? I saw Ish Smith. You got Ish Smith, DeAndre Jordan, and a couple old heads there, man.
Ish Smith is my guy.
Some old guys there, man.
Ish Smith is my guy.
Now we're approaching 5 minutes till the hour. And here we go. A baseball question thrown at us from Dennis. A tough start for the Phillies, who went over the luxury tax. They bring in Trey Turner this year on an 11-year deal. They got Bryce Harper coming back from the injury. Reese Hoskins goes down at the beginning of the season. After that World Series appearance, this year was supposed to be the year, right? Last year they make that big run. They get more talent. They spend more money. This was it. This was supposed to be the year they go back and win it, but guys had to start out that way. They're 27-32, 5 games below 500, 8 games out of first in the division, and 4th in the NL East. Are the Phillies done already, Jason?
With baseball, honestly, I don't look at records until late July going into August. Now, if you're in this same position in August,
Yeah, you're in trouble.
then you're in trouble. But I really don't look at anybody's record until like late July, early August, because we've seen runs. We've also seen teams collapse. Mets twice. We've seen other teams
That was
collapse.
bad.
So I mean, the Phillies aren't done. But is the red light blinking? Yeah. It is.
I'm going to agree with you there too, Jason. I don't think they're done. This is not the way I expected or wanted the season to begin. But at this point last year, I think there was only a 1 or 2 game difference. They did not have a great start last year either. They went on, I believe, a 13 or 15 game winning streak a little bit into June. They're already off to a better start in June. Kyle Schwarber hitting 160 coming into this month. June is where he really turns it on, already started turning it on. I think they'll turn it around a little bit. I think they can make another run to put it together if they stay healthy.
Run to what?
I think they can make another playoff run. They got to get there first. Once you get in the playoffs, anything can happen. I think with this talent, I'm telling you, they still got a chance. A lot of people are saying throw the season out the door. I say, hold on a minute. Matt, what do you say?
I say they're not done, but I got a hot take here.
Oh, let's hear
It might be even spicier than Jason's.
Oh, what a way to
Is it
end
about
the
Bryce
show.
Harper?
It is. Listen,
Not my boy Bryce.
people, I've been saying this for years. Bryce Harper is a mid-fraud superstar. I'm just gonna be honest with you, bro. He's not a real superstar. He's not Mike
MV3?
Schmidt. He's not Mike Schmidt.
There you go. Geez.
He ain't he's barely Von Hayes. I'm just gonna keep it a stack. Look, people don't gotta like it. The man was on the Sports Illustrated cover at 16. LeBron, he's LeBron of baseball. No, he's not the LeBron of baseball.
Dennis, can you believe?
This guy
we're in
is-
shock on the set.
This guy is.
I'm not shocked at all.
He's not that guy.
MV3, he misses
not
all
that
his-
guy.
Wait, maybe he's played 2 games. There's not the fault.
He's a head case too, man.
Is he that guy to you?
He's not.
He's not that guy.
I'm
That's
sorry.
what I'm saying.
Listen,
Oh my goodness.
he's not, man.
This is the most I've ever disagreed with
Thank you.
anybody on this show.
He's
Thank
not, man.
you.
He's
This is by far.
This is what I'm saying. This guy is.
Go get Mike Trout. Trade it.
Oh my goodness.
He's not Mike Trout.
He's not Mike Trout.
Has Mike Trout
He's
ever
not
been in
Mike
the
Trout.
playoffs?
He's not Mike Trout. He's not Ohtani.
Listen, he's not.
He's not Mike Trout.
He's not, is he Mike Trout?
2-time MVP.
You think he's Mike Trout?
He took him to the World Series. No, nobody's Mike Trout, though.
Oh,
That's-
okay.
Mike Trout may be the best player of all time. But
Wait,
he's up
well,
there.
now.
But Bryce
No,
Harper
I'm
was
not doing that.
supposed to
One
be.
up, one up.
Bryce Harper was supposed
supposed
to be
to
in
be.
that conversation. Is he in that conversation to you?
He's got a long career left. If he wins a couple
Does
World
he?
Series, I think he
Does
wins
he?
it.
He's
Yes,
got a
I
long
think
career
he's,
left.
Yes, I think
he
he
stay
signed a
healthy?
13-year deal 2 years ago.
What am I missing here? What am I missing?
He comes last year. He's the MVP of the league, of the National League. The Phillies win the pennant and go to the World Series with a team that was better but not great. A pitching staff that was eh. This year, he misses the whole start of the season, and then he comes back and's batting 300 already with a few home runs. And you're going to put the blame on Bryce Harper?
Bryce Harper is a stat padder at best.
How can you stat pad in baseball? How do you stat pad in baseball?
Sorry, he's a stat padder, man.
Oh, man, we're ending the show. It's 7:40.
Don't worry, he'll be
Thanks.
injured soon.
Thanks for tuning in on a Monday evening. We're calling it here after a great
That's the other thing about Bryce Harper. He can't stay healthy.
Oh, man. Phillies are going to turn it around. You heard it here first. And if they don't, it won't be Bryce Harper's fault. But the Nuggets in Heat, Game 3 on Wednesday. We'll see what happens. It's going to be a fun rest of the finals, a fun NBA draft coming up. We're going to be doing a lot of draft work here in the next few weeks. So make sure you tune into the show. So for Jason, Matt, I'm Nick, and Dennis. Phenomenal question to end the show, Dennis. We will see you next Monday here on DETV.